Virginia.
Wow.
Senator, welcome back to Fox and Friends.
Thank you, Stephen, Gretchen, and Brian. And Steve, how's your boy doing?
He's doing well. Thank you very much. I'm sure if he were here, he would have an embarrassing question or two to ask you. But he's busy.
But no doubt it would make the senator laugh. All right, Senator, so we have to ask you the first question out of the gate. This bailout thing passed by the Senate last night. You voted yep?
Yeah, I not only did that, Gretchen, as you know, I suspended my campaign, came back to Washington, was very helpful in getting the House Republicans at the table. They had not been there, and worked very hard on that issue. Senator Obama phoned it in. So I'm proud to have played a role in this. I think that Main Street America was about to experience even more trauma than they already are in the form of credit, in the form of keeping small businesses open, and allowing people to get a loan for their car. I mean, this is serious stuff, and it's Main Street that's being affected and harmed by the greed and excess of Washington and Wall Street.
Senator, right now, you came to Washington, you took action, you suspended your campaign again to come back and vote. But right now, a recent study shows, and the polls reflect it, that Barack Obama is gaining ever since this crisis landed on everyone's kitchen table. Why is that?
Because life isn't fair.
You feel as though he's been missing in action on this, but yet the American people aren't picking up on this.
Well, he certainly did nothing in the first few days, and as you know, I suspended my campaign, took our ads down, came back to Washington and met with the House folks, and got on the phones, and also had face-to-face meetings. But look, all I care about is getting this thing done. This is far more important than a political campaign in many respects. This is the greatest financial crisis of our lifetime. So you just got to do what you have to do, and that's put your country first.
Would you say this? And you just, you made the case right there. Biggest financial crisis of our lifetime. In a perfect world, would this have been the bill you'd have passed?
Oh, I think there would have been some differences, but fundamentally the changes we made after I came back, and there was a lot of us that demanded them, making sure the taxpayer was going to get paid back first when this thing recovers, options of insurance, as well as loans or outright purchases of these institutions, stronger oversight, a greater curb, by the way, not as great as I wanted, curb on CEO pay that take taxpayers' dollars, but we certainly improved it from what it originally was, and I think it can do the job, but it's like a tourniquet. It's like a tourniquet. Now we got to start fixing the wound, healing the wound.
Yep.
Senator McCain, let me ask you this. Some critics and actually proponents of you this week have said, look, John McCain has to go back on the attack against Senator Barack Obama. You're down in the polls. You have to attack. I know it's not within your nature, but will you?
Well, we try to continue to draw the differences between myself and Senator Obama and his continuously shifting positions on the issue. I note now that he wants to cut spending after proposing $860 billion in new spending programs. But we'll stay after him. But also they want my specific plan of action. Look, we're doing fine. We were up in the polls, and then we were down the polls, and we were up in the polls and down the polls. We can't worry about the day-to-day tick-tock, but I think we're doing fine. We've got a lot of work to do. I always love being the underdog, and I think we're going to be up late on election night, but I'm very happy with where we are.
I know what you're going to be doing tonight. You're going to be watching Governor Palin taking on Senator Joe Biden. Word is, Senator, that you're a little upset at your own staff for holding on to her too tight and maybe keeping her back a little bit and not letting her be the person that was displayed in Dayton and at the convention. Is that true?
No. Look, you go through these things. Sometimes, you know, you have certain techniques that, and, you know, briefing that helps more than others. I think it's very, you know, we let Sarah be Sarah.
Right.
She's smart. She's tough. She's been in debates before. She's been a leader. Frankly, a lot of the things that have been the gotcha questions are a little irritating from time to time. But the American people, when the more they see of her, the more they love her, and I'm confident of that at the end. Look, she's had more experience, executive experience, than Joe Biden and Barack Obama combined. You know.
Sure. All right. Senator, you just said, you know, let Sarah be Sarah. You got to hope that his handlers let Joe be Joe, because he is quite gaffe-prone, as you've known. You've seen him across the floor there at the Senate for years. Yesterday, Claire McCaskill, a Democrat senator from Missouri, where you're going to be, where the debate is tonight, said to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, quote, "Joe Biden has a tendency to talk forever and sometimes say things that are just kind of stupid." So I'd imagine you would just be hoping Joe's Joe.
Well, I can't disagree with Claire. You know, I really don't. I think that Sarah Palin knows that Franklin Delano Roosevelt didn't talk to the American people over television. I mean,
he was on the internet, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, look. But a lot of this is such trivia. I mean, a lot of the, you know, Sarah Palin is in a pizza parlor. Someone yells something at her, and she kind of shouts back, "Did you see what Sarah Palin said?" Please, you know, it gets a little tiresome. Look, she is the real deal. She's had life experiences that certainly none of the rest of the three of us has. She has executive skills. She took on everybody that wasn't helpful to her state, including the big oil companies. A $40 billion natural energy pipeline. Look, instead of asking about the trivia questions, let's look at her record. It's phenomenal.
All right, Senator, before you go, I have to ask you this, because there's been a lot of debate, speaking of the debate, in the last 24 hours about the moderator, Gwen Ifill, and the fact that she's releasing this book on Inauguration Day that is a lot about Barack Obama. I know you've gone on record yesterday as saying that you don't really have a problem with this, that you think she'll be fair. But do you actually think it could work to your advantage, because people will really be looking closely at her questions?
Listen, frankly, I wish that they had picked a moderator that isn't writing a book favorable to Barack Obama. I mean, let's face it. And but I have to have confidence that Gwen Ifill will treat this as a professional journalist as she is. Frankly, I would imagine that there's other people out there who aren't writing a book that's going to be on Inauguration Day favorable to Senator Obama. But that's life. Look, life isn't fair, as I mentioned earlier in our program. And whoever the moderator is and whatever the questions, it doesn't matter, because Sarah Palin is great. And the genuineness of her is what comes across the American people. And first they were exposed to her, and then frankly we got a lot of media filter. They're not going to get that tonight.
Right. It's going to be interesting. And, you know, Bill O'Reilly's never asked me to be a body language expert on his show, but I have my fingers crossed. But if I was to look at your body language from the pedestrian side, and I watched you debating with Barack Obama, I get the sense that you just don't think that he belongs in your arena. Is that correct?
Oh, I think by virtue of the process, he belongs in my arena. But I can tell you, I do not think he belongs as President of the United States, whether it be on national security or whether it be his tax increases and spending practices and pork barrel earmark practices. Look up some of those projects that he asked for $923 million for. They're remarkable. So I don't know. I don't think he has the judgment to be president, but I think that the American people will decide that. But I certainly believe he belongs where he is by virtue of the incredible job he did getting the nomination of his party, and I admire him for it.
All right. Senator John McCain, we thank you very much for joining us today. What do you have on tap the rest of the day? Just going to go out and hit some golf balls, take it easy?
Going to do a women's thing out in Denver, a women's business conference that I think will be good, and then I'm going to do an editorial board with the Denver Post, and then we'll do some practicing.
Gotcha.
I don't need any, of course.
Yeah, because you're next up on Tuesday night again. Senator John McCain, always a pleasure to speak with you. We'll talk to you again, I'm sure, very